What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with another Destiny 2 video. This one is for the Dawning 2023, and we're going to jump in and take a look at all of the Eververse items that are available for both Bright Dust and Silver in this year's annual event. And the goal is to help you guys avoid spending real cash on items that will also be available for Bright Dust. And as always in the Eververse store, there's a rotation, where some items will be up for Silver, but then in subsequent weeks they'll be available for the other currency instead. So while we can't say exactly when items will be sold, we can outline the items that will be available for the Bright Dust currency during the event. So we'll round them all up in the video. As always guys, I hope you find this one useful, and if you do, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. But without further delay, let's get into it. And firstly, big shout out to todayindestiny.com for their Eververse inventory. The Dawning is going live on December 12th, and I believe runs up until the first week of January. And so for any of the items we cover in this video, there will be a Bright Dust purchase option. But as always with these events, there'll also be plenty of items that are Silver only, or are associated with the event card for the Dawning. But starting out on the Bright Dust Eververse stuff, initially we get the new armor for the Dawning. This should be available at any time during the event this year, and there's a preview of it on the screen right there. And in terms of the cost options for the armor, a full set can be purchased for 1500 silver, but there will be the alternate cost of 6000 Bright Dust. And so the event armors are fairly expensive right there, but there is at least the option of spending Bright Dust as opposed to Silver in order to pick up the Dawning armor this year. Up next though, onto other cosmetic items for the event, and firstly we've got weapon ornaments. And for the Vex Mythoclast, there's the Infinite Gift ornament. We can see that this will be available for 700 silver, but is also going to come up for 1250 Bright Dust. And the exact same costs will apply to the other weapon ornaments that are featured for Bright Dust, and that includes the Merrymaker, which is a Monte Carlo ornament, and the Cheer Spreader ornament for the Risk Runner, which of course we've joked about recently, accidentally calling it Cheek Spreader, but I would assume that one of these will be featured on each of the weeks of the event. But considering those silver costs are present, it looks like there will be multiple purchase options, so for any of those three, just keep in mind that they will be available for Bright Dust. Next up though, onto emotes for the event, and firstly, we've got the Ice Carving exotic emote, and for the bulk of the exotic emotes, they'll be available for 1000 silver or 3250 Bright Dust. So that same cost will apply to the Turbulent Weather exotic emote. And obviously right here we're seeing a mix of brand new items for this year's event, and some which are returning from previous years. Where additionally we'll see the Baking Cookies exotic emote, but also there's the Sneaky Thief exotic emote as well. And on top of that, there'll be one called Snowboard Tricks available, as well as the Get That Bread exotic emote. Once again, they'll cost 1000 silver, but also will be available for 3250 Bright Dust. And up next we have some of the legendary emotes, and firstly there is the Falling Flurries. And for the bulk of the legendaries, they'll be available for either 500 silver or 700 Bright Dust. And on top of that, we'll see the Tacky Sweater legendary emote. And then for rare emotes, firstly there is the Excited Elf, and this one will cost either 200 silver or 400 Bright Dust. And that summarizes the Dawning specific emotes right there. And then we move on to Ghost Shells, and returning from a previous year, we've got the Confectionery Shell exotic ghost right here. And this will be available for 600 silver or 2850 Bright Dust. And the same costs will apply to some of the new Ghost Shells. We can't get a full preview of these, but there's a new one called the Icy Elegance Shell, and another one called the Cygnus Shell, and looking at the icons, they appear to be pretty cool. It's worth pointing out that the Cygnus Shell will also be available in a bundle, which is why it has multiple silver costs listed, but it will be available for 2850 Bright Dust as well. And finally, there is additionally the Little Helper Shell, which is another one returning from previous years. And that takes us on to some of the vehicles for the event. So firstly, there is the Mirthmobile. Of course, this is another returning one, and it's going to be listed for 800 silver, but also will be available for 2500 Bright Dust. And as always, the same costs will apply to some of the other exotics, and we've got the Divine Messenger exotic Sparrow. That's another one that will appear in a Dawning bundle, but is additionally going to be available for 2500 Bright Dust. Then there is the Super Cool Motto, and that's another brand new one for the year. But finally, we'll additionally see the return of the Polar Prancer exotic Sparrow, which once again will have a list cost of 800 silver or 2500 Bright Dust. Then onto exotic ships, we firstly have the Silverwing Kestrel, and the base ship costs will be 800 silver or 2000 Bright Dust. There's a new one for the Dawning event this year called the Filigree Rover. This is another bundle item, but it will be sold for 2000 Bright Dust as well. Then there is the Ice Chime exotic ship, and very finally we'll see the return of the Sleepless Flight exotic ship from previous years. And all four of these will once again come up for 2000 Bright Dust during the event. But very finally, onto ghost projections and shaders. And firstly, we have the Candy Cane projection. This will be available for 1500 Bright Dust. And it doesn't appear that one will actually sell for silver whatsoever. But there'll also be the Baking projection, which will be available for 200 silver or 1500 Bright Dust. Then there's the Snowfolk projection, which once again will have a Bright Dust cost of 1500. But very finally for shaders, all of these are costing 300 Bright Dust. They don't have silver costs tied specifically to them, but it's possible that some of them could appear in bundles and things like that. But for this year, we'll see the Dawning Mirth shader, plus we'll get another one called Sharkbite. Then there's the Celestia shader, as well as the Justified Cobalt. Plus we'll see Noble Rhyme and the Aniline Shock shaders, and once again, all of them will cost 300 Bright Dust as always. And so those are the items that we'll see rotating through the Eververse store throughout the course of the Dawning 2023, which again, as far as I know, is going to run for at least 3 weeks. And outside of the Eververse cosmetics and the armor, the only other cosmetic element worth mentioning briefly is the new Dawning Memento, and we'll be able to apply this to crafted weapons if we can get it. And so firstly, we'll have to pick up the Winter Night quest from Eva Levante. At some point in that quest, we should get the Dawning Memento dropped, and then additional mementos can be acquired from opening a gift in return, and ultimately applied to weapons. So obviously not an Eververse component, but another cosmetic right there for the event, so I thought it was worth a quick mention. My only other quick shouts right here would be that it appears Eva Levante will still have access to some of the oldest cosmetics that are run through gameplay for the Dawning. So there are things like the Dawning Cheer Exotic Sparrow, and that one has a perk that can drop additional glimmer, as well as auto-loading weapons. Plus there's the Alpine Dash Exotic Sparrow that can come from Eva Levante, and the Starfarer 7M exotic ship, and that's got a perk that grants a chance to generate Dawning Spirit whenever you find a Dawning ingredient. But finally, there'll also be the Vapor Wheel Spin, which is another exotic ship that can be picked up at Eva Levante. So there are those, but on the subject of Bright Dust, it's worth keeping in mind we can get a small amount of dust dropped from completing the Dawning weekly bounties. I don't recall exactly how much Bright Dust we get, it isn't a tremendous amount, but might be useful if you want to stock up on a little bit more dust to pick up any of the items from the event. And for today, guys, that's what we have to round up in the video. So if you want to stick it to the man and avoid spending any cash in the store this winter, hopefully this video has been helpful. If it has, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. And if you want to see more Destiny content, then definitely get subscribed so I can keep you posted. Otherwise though, as always, I appreciate you tuning in today. Also let us know in the comment section any items you're looking forward to picking up from the Dawning this year. But otherwise, I appreciate you tuning in as always, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.
Throw a snowball for your friend Eva. Here, take this, and have fun.
Excellent.
That'll be fun.
Happy dawning.